Hello and welcome to the Heart of the Matter. I'm Bernadette Soares. Today's episode is a little different. Before I ask others to share their stories on this platform, I thought it was important that I share my own. Over the coming months, I'll be discussing some of the biggest issues facing New Zealand: immigration, the economy, housing, small business, youth opportunities, national identity, and so much more. But before I do that, I want you to understand where my views come from, because they don't come from theory, they don't come from ideology, they come from lived experience. My story begins in India. I was born into a loving family. My father was a crown prosecutor, and from him and my mom, I learned some of the values that have stayed with me throughout my life: integrity, justice, service, and responsibility. All these values have shaped who I am. I grew up watching a man who understood that leadership was not about status, it was about duty. I also had the privilege of being close to my grandparents. Their stories, their wisdom, their resilience, and their faith shaped many of the values I hold dear today. At the time, however, I had no idea that one day I would leave India and build a life on the other side of the world. In 1989, my husband and I made one of the biggest decisions of our lives. My husband was a highly skilled computer engineer and had secured a job offer in New Zealand. At that time, immigration worked differently. You generally came here because you had skills New Zealand needed. You came here because you had something to contribute. You came here because there was an opportunity to build a future. We arrived with very little: 2 suitcases, $500, no family support network, no established connections, no guarantee of success, just hope and faith. I still remember those early days. Everything was different: the culture, the accents, the weather, the systems, the way people lived. When you arrive in a new country, you quickly realize that nothing can be taken for granted. Simple things become challenging. You have to learn. You have to adapt. You have to earn your place. But what I also discovered was something incredibly special: opportunity. New Zealand gave us opportunities. Not handouts, not guarantees, opportunities. The opportunity to work, the opportunity to contribute, the opportunity to build. And over time, that is exactly what we did. Like many immigrant families, we worked hard, very hard. There were sacrifices, there were setbacks, there were moments of uncertainty, but there was also hope. My husband built his career. We raised wonderful children: Gideon, Gabriella, and Reuben. Our children have grown up as proud New Zealanders. Today, I also have the joy of being a grandmother to Xavier and Bo, and watching the next generation grow up in this country gives me an even greater appreciation of what New Zealand has given our family. For many years, I was a stay-at-home mother. I have never regretted that. Those years taught me lessons that no business degree ever could: patience, service, sacrifice, resilience, the importance of family. And then in 2002, I took another leap of faith. I started a business. Like many entrepreneurs, I started with more determination than resources. There was no guarantees. There was no safety net. Just a belief that if I worked hard enough, I could create something meaningful. Over the years, that small business grew. We developed brands, we created products, we built intellectual property, we employed people, we exported internationally, and we contributed to New Zealand's economy. I often say that business is one of the greatest teachers. Business teaches accountability, business teaches resilience, business teaches humility, and business teaches you very quickly that success comes from creating value for others. Not entitlement, value. Over the years, I also became increasingly involved in mentoring and helping others. For more than 8 years, I have volunteered as a business mentor. I have worked alongside entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people trying to build their lives for themselves and their families. I have seen incredible determination, I have seen innovation, I have seen courage. But I have also seen the challenges that people face, the pressure, the uncertainty, the financial strain. It reinforced something important. Policies matter. The decisions made by government have real consequences for real people. I also spent many years advocating against workplace bullying. That work opened my eyes to another reality. Many people are struggling silently. People who feel unheard, people who feel powerless, people who simply want fairness. That experience strengthened my belief that leadership matters. Good leadership can change lives. Poor leadership can damage them. And that is partly why I became interested in politics. Not because I want power, not because I want attention, but because I care deeply about people. And I care deeply about New Zealand. Some people think that if you believe immigration levels should be managed carefully, you must be somehow anti-immigrant. I completely reject that. I'm an immigrant. My family are immigrants. Immigration has enriched New Zealand enormously. It has brought skills, investment, innovation, diversity, entrepreneurship, and culture. But I also believe immigration must work for New Zealand. It must be sustainable. It must be responsible. It must be linked to our ability to provide housing, infrastructure, healthcare, education, and employment opportunities. That is not anti-immigration. That is common sense. Because successful immigration benefits both those arriving and the country welcoming them. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunities New Zealand gave me. And with gratitude comes responsibility. Responsibility to contribute, responsibility to give back, responsibility to help persevere the opportunities. Okay. Responsibility to help preserve the opportunities that attracted so many of us here in the first place. When I look back over the past 3 decades, I feel immense gratitude. Gratitude for a country that welcomed us. Gratitude for the opportunities that we were given. Gratitude for the people we have met. Gratitude for the life we have built. But when I look back over the past 3 decades, I feel immense gratitude. Gratitude for a country that welcomed us. Gratitude for the opportunities we were given. Gratitude for the people we have met. Gratitude for the life we have built. But gratitude alone is not enough. We must also be willing to protect what makes New Zealand special. But we must be willing to have honest conversations about the future. We must be willing to address challenges. We must be willing to ensure that future generations have the same opportunities that previous generations enjoyed. That is why I created the People's Podcast, to create a space for conversations that matter, to bring different perspectives, to listen, to learn, and hopefully to contribute something positive to the future of this country. Because New Zealand has given me so much, and now I want to play my part in helping shape its future. Thank you for joining me today and allowing me to share a little of my story. In future episodes, we will tackle some of the bigger issues facing New Zealand. But today, I simply wanted you to know who I am, where I came from, and why I care. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I do believe that New Zealand's best days can still be ahead of us if we are willing to have honest conversations, listen to one another, and work together for the good of future generations. I hope today's conversation has given you something to think about. If you'd like to contribute to the discussion, I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to continue the discussion, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Bernadette Soares. And remember, when we focus on what truly matters, we can help shape New Zealand's future one conversation at a time.